PwC has resigned as one of the statutory auditors of Reliance Capital and Reliance Home Finance. Remember, we spoke about it 15 minutes ago. The auditor cites certain observations or transactions which, if not resolved, could impact the financial results. This comes just days before Reliance Capital is scheduled to put out its earnings on June 28th. And Reliance Infra, which is slated to come out with its numbers 2 days from now, having some subsidiaries audited by the same auditor. So Gautam Nayak, partner at CNK Associates, joins us right now to tell us what does this mean for both the companies and what about these altercations that have happened between the auditor and the company as well. Mr. Nayak, thanks so much for taking the time out. What have you made of this? There have been, for lack of a better word, allegations and counter allegations as well. Some legal formalities that the ADG group has said that they will initiate as well. What do you make of this development?
Well, I think it's a very unfortunate stand that the company has taken in this case because, if it was just a question of non-satisfaction of providing certain information or where there were views differing between the auditors and the company, probably it would have ended with the auditors qualifying in that respect. But there are two aspects more which have come out in this information which is given. One is that the non-convening of the audit committee. Now, it's one of the obligations of the auditor to communicate with the audit committee, and it's essential that it is done because the auditor may have a view, the audit committee may present another aspect of it, and then ultimately on the basis of that discussion, it's the final view of the auditors emerges. Now, the communication is always through the company, and therefore it's essential that the company provide a free flow of communication between the audit committee and the auditors. Now, in this case, I think it appears that that was not happening, according to the auditors. Now, that's something which is a matter of concern because that clearly showed that the company did not, had something which they did not want the audit committee to really, get in touch with the auditors on that. And the other aspect is of threatening the auditors. Now, that is something which is absolutely uncalled for because, the auditors are merely doing their duty which is required to be done under law. Now, for that, you can't threaten the auditors that we may initiate legal proceedings against you. So that is something I think which is really troubling.
Yeah, well, you can argue that it's troubling a lot of people as well. I just wonder, Mr. Nayak, that one of the reasons cited has also been that there were certain observations or transactions in the assessment of PwC which, if not resolved satisfactorily, might have had significant or material differences to the financial statements for which it did not receive satisfactory response to its queries. Would these have happened over a very short period of time, or could developments like these happen over a period of time, and can't the auditor have brought these out earlier?
I think from the letters, it seems that this was raised sometime in April and, they sought a meeting, etc. But for almost a month, they did not receive any clarification. So that's something which it's not, sudden. It's something which not during the initial part of the audit, it appears, but which was not resolved right to the end. That's the point.
So there's a bit of a to and fro out here, right, Mr. Nayak, because the company in its response says that they've duly responded to various queries and the letters. They've also duly and validly convened a meeting of the audit committee as well. What happens in a scenario like this to your mind? What happens next now?
Now, I think it's where the MCA will have to step in and see, what are the real facts and where I think there is a dispute among the facts itself. Now, that's something which will have to be looked at by the regulators, by SEBI, by MCA, because I think no auditor will resign just like that.
That's true. Okay, Mr. Nayak, I appreciate you joining in for a quick conversation this morning. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.